Hey guys, so here I am, last day of the trip to um, Madeira. I'm due to fly home tomorrow morning. I'm on a 6 o'clock flight with Ryanair, but there's a big storm coming into Ireland, so I don't know what the update is. Don't know if the flight will go, and if it will go, I don't know what time it'll go. And when I do get to Dublin eventually, I don't know if there'll be any transportation to get me back to the west. So we'll have to make it up as we go along. I'm staying at this really nice hotel. I'm staying in Santa Cruz. It's about 5 minutes from the airport. I came up today and I dropped off my car hire, and I came over to the hotel and checked in. I spent the afternoon just bumming around, walked around the town. Really charming town. A lovely church, you can see it here, super ornate. They really overdo it here. And what's interesting is even in this church, there's a crucifix with Jesus on it up over the altar. But in a few of the churches I've actually visited, they have their local saint. So they're big into their icons, big into their saints, big into all of this. Very gaudy, very over the top. But sort of nice, in a nice way. But the town of Santa Cruz is lovely, charming, small little place, but charming place. And I spent most of the afternoon on the beach. Well, there's no beach, on the rocks. So I spent most of the afternoon on the rocks, sitting under an umbrella because showers came every now and again. And I sat there in the sun. It was glorious when the sun came out. It was a typical Irish summer's day, actually. The sun would come out to be lovely and warm, and then the clouds would come into a shower of rain, and the sun would come out again. So I sat under this palm type of, I don't know what you call it, like an umbrella made out of palms, and that was lovely. I sat in the concrete underneath in the sun, and read my book. So that was really nice. And I had a lovely meal. You can see it here, salmon that actually came out of the ocean, and they cut a steak in it, just the way Simon, my brother-in-law, gives me the salmon steaks. Absolutely delicious. And that's salmon steak with the French fries, with the salad, with a large bottle of non-alcoholic beer, and with an apple, I don't know what you call it, an apple tart, but one of these open-topped apple tarts, big thick one, and ice cream. The whole lot was €21. So really good value down here. This is a lovely hotel I'm staying in, a little boutique hotel, lovely swimming pool and gym, lovely lounge area, really charming. It seems to me like it's brand new. And this is €65 a night. So a step up from my usual level of expenditure, my usual budget travel. But boy, what a change for the extra few quid. So so that's it. So not a lot to tell you. I just thought I'd do a quick summary on the trip. It was a good trip. So I enjoyed the trip. And I enjoyed the hiking. The hiking was really, really nice. But it was wet. And I realised the difference that it makes when it's wet. The reason I didn't go for a hike this morning, even though I wanted to, was we had a lot of rain last night, and I just knew my shoes, and I only bought one pair, as I said before, my shoes would get soaking wet, and I'd no other shoes. And so walking in the rain, either you bring two pairs of shoes, and even then there's no guarantee they dry out in time, or you don't go when it's wet. So this could be dry. Madeira could be dry this time of year. And it's sort of mixed. One day it was torrential rains, the other days were sort of showery pretty much every day. And that really impacts the walking. It's sort of lovely at one level and keeps you cool, and you get the lovely scents in the forest and all of this, and you don't have the terrible heat that you can have in other places that I had, for example, in Gran Canaria when I came down off the mountain and I nearly died of the heat. But it's hard, so I won't be doing this again in the rain. I'll make sure wherever I go it's going to be dry. It just makes such a big difference. Madeira itself, interesting island. It's a small island. I did the tour of it, as you know. I've walked a fair bit of it now and drove all around it. There's not much to it. You can come here and go hiking. That's really it. If you want to come and lie on a beach, do whatever, this is not the island to come to. It's impossible to get around it. Even though they've got this lovely motorway, all these tunnels going along the coast, once you want to go up into the countryside, it's just these switchbacks, the whole thing. There isn't a straight piece of road in the whole island, just switchback after switchback. And pretty dodgy stuff. Pretty dodgy. You want to be a confident driver. I learned to drive on the right-hand side of the road, and I drove automatic cars all my life. So for me, it was no big deal. But for somebody who's used to driving a manual shift and driving on the left-hand side of the road, they might have found it challenging here. And there's nothing to do here as well. So if you stayed in the capital, in Funchal, I think, there's probably things to do there. But even that's small. I mean, the total population of the island is 250,000 people, or maybe a bit more. So there's not a big population. There's not a lot happening here. And even in summer, I'd just say be mobbed with tourists, but nothing happening. So I think if I was going away for that kind of holiday or a sun holiday, you'd be going to the Canaries or Lanzarote, whatever, it'd be somewhere like that you'd be going. It wouldn't be Madeira. Madeira really is an activity-based and really a hiking-based. On the hiking itself, if you did come for the hiking's easy. Despite everything that I said before and some of my experiences and my bashes and bruises, whatever, and none of that's necessary. There are beautiful walks, these levels, these irrigation, concrete irrigation, whatever you want to call them, drains or waterways. They're about that wide, and they've got paths about 75 centimeters beside them. They just go for miles. So if you drive up, for example, to a certain height, you can walk 10, 20, 30, 40 kilometers level, or pretty much level, because of course these waterways are level. And so I think if you did want to come walking, we shouldn't be concerned about it, that you wouldn't be up for it. Any sort of decent pair of runners or walking shoes, a pair of shorts, and away you go. Little backpack to bring your stuff, and away you go. It would be no problem at all. If you have two cars, of course, you go one at either end of a walk. But out and back, most of the walks I did were out and back walks. I turned some of them into loops, as you know, simply because I just don't like retracing my steps too much. I'd rather do a loop, and I want to see something new. But you could do it easily. And the place itself, I mentioned before, it's not expensive, but it's not inexpensive. It's not Portugal. Like, much more expensive than Portugal. It's the same price or more. Yeah, about the same price as Spain, I think, maybe. The food, I've had some nice food, but I've had some not so nice food as well. So I think that if you're going to eat well here, you have to be willing to pay normal prices for the food. There's no bargain basement. Even though I thought today was exceptional, but it was lunchtime. The same meal at dinner time would probably cost me €40. So it's not expensive. Like, €40 is not a lot for a dinner, but it's not cheap either. And I'm not having booze, remember. If you were having your wine or whatever, it'd be more. The people in general are nice. It's a funny sort of island. It reminds me a little bit of, when you go into a town, it reminds me a bit of towns in Ireland 20, 30 years ago. The people sort of dressed that way. You get that sort of feel about it. Sort of a rural country, and not very prosperous feel to it. Although they're all driving nice cars, but it doesn't feel very prosperous. It certainly doesn't feel as prosperous as some of the other islands down this part of the world. Would I come again? No, I don't think I would, actually. Unless I was going to do a true walk. So if I came again, I would bring my tent, bring my little one-man tent and gear. I'd actually hike. They have this circular route of the island, or the length of the island. I think the island's about 46 kilometers or something long. And you could probably do the loop. You could probably get a week or 10 days of hiking through the mountains, following these levels, following these walkways, right around the island. And to do that, it would be nice, I think. Once you get up to the elevation, up high, up to 1,000, 1,500 metres, or 1,300 metres, whatever, and you just walk, I think that would be nice. But I don't think I'll come back again. I enjoyed this, but it was a little bit of a struggle. The last comment is, I've been trying to travel with the minimum amount of luggage, baggage. I've been seeing how less is more, how simple could I make this? I think I've oversimplified it. I think I've gone maybe a step too far. I think I'd rather bring my 35 litre rucksack as a proper bag with a proper frame, with proper support. Bring my walking poles. Bring a bit more gear, a second pair of shoes, this kind of stuff. Maybe even bring a tent and just do it a little bit differently. So that's sort of it. God willing, I will be home tomorrow. If not, I'll be home sometime the next day or the day after. If you're watching this, you'll know I made it home safely, guys. So that's it. Good talking, and I hope you enjoyed the videos on this little trip. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Hi guys. So a little addendum. As you can see, I'm home in my office here, and I'm recording this about a week or 10 days after I came back. And I'm recording just to give you a quick summary of my journey home. So about 1 or 2 in the morning, my phone went off and I saw a message from Ryanair saying that they'd cancelled the flight the following morning. And that was it. It was just cancelled due to the storm. Now that flight had come in at 7:30 the evening before and was parked in the airport. The plane was parked in the airport. So I got on to see what I could do, and they said they would book me on the next available flight, which is exactly a week later. They have one flight a week. So this is a learning. If you go somewhere, you have to make sure that there are regular flights out of it. And at that time of year, there was one flight out of Madeira per week. And that was it. That was your option, that or a refund. So they gave me my 50 quid back, and I immediately went online to see could I find a way home. And that turned into a bit of a saga. So I eventually found a flight with Jet2, and the following day in the afternoon. So I booked that from Madeira to Stansted, and I took that flight. That was no problem, and it was a good flight actually. They were a nice company. I liked Jet2, and arrived, flew up to Stansted, took the flight at around I think about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got to Stansted around 6 o'clock or something that evening. Of course, there were no flights from Stansted to Ireland, any part of Ireland that evening. In fact, there were no flights from Stansted to Ireland until the following evening. Every single flight was booked up. And I checked East Midlands, I checked Heathrow, Gatwick. There were no flights anywhere. Because of the storm, everybody's flights had been cancelled. So they'd all booked up the subsequent flights when the airports opened again. So I checked into the Radisson, and I had a lovely dinner in the Radisson, and stayed there for the night. Very expensive. I think, in fact, the flight home, the extra flight home, that one, the one back to Dublin the following day, and then the Radisson and all the rest of it, the food, cost me about as much as the week in Madeira. So I think there's some learning here. But I say the Radisson, it's a lovely hotel. The Radisson Stansted is a really, really nice hotel. And the food was really nice, and really, really enjoyed it. But of course I didn't want to be there. And it was really funny because I met all the people, of course, who were supposed to be on the Ryanair flight that were out in the airport getting the Jet2 flight. And all of us swore that we would never fly Ryanair again. I'll come back to that in a moment. But then, so the following day I just hung around. I had nothing to do. So I hung around the hotel until they threw me out at noon. And then I went over to the airport and I hung around there. Now, the nice thing was they did a gym in the hotel. So I had a good workout that morning, which was lovely. And went over to the airport. I just hung around the airport until my flight at 6:30 that evening. And I don't know if you've ever spent 6.5 hours sitting in an airport waiting for a flight. It's mind deadening. Now I had my iPad with me, so I read for the afternoon, but it was boring. And I took that flight, and of course I took a Ryanair flight. It was the only flight, and of course who did I meet on the flight? But all the people like myself who swore we'd never fly Ryanair again, and there we all were. So I flew off to Dublin, and I had no way, of course, getting down to Ballinrobe. So I stayed in Dublin that night, on the Sunday night, and then the following day I took a bus down to Ballinrobe, and then a bus home to a bus down to Galway and a bus home to Ballinrobe. And I got home on the Sunday evening, as opposed to the Friday morning. So that was my little addendum to the trip, and it was fine. It was painful, but it was fine. I mean, I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't in a rush anywhere. I was on holidays, and my time is my own. Having the iPad and being able to read, I think, was a lifesaver. So that's it. That's the end of my little saga, and home safe and sound, and looking forward to the next trip. Cheers, guys.